What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 24th episode of the Naus cEDH podcast. Tonight, we are making our fourth installment of the DDB update series. My name is Kian, otherwise known as Varlas, and joining me, as always, is 03 Adam. He's throwing up gang signs, I guess. I don't know what he's doing over there, but otherwise known as Poppyphobia. But before we begin, I'd like to toss it at Adam. I think you have a few triggers to resolve in our upkeep.
Yes. Thank you, Kian. So to start with, as always, we're going to shout out all of our high tier patrons. So thank you to Doot, Usable Object, Senator Tom, Scorish, Unorthodox Bird, Jeff Bezos, Domino, Geos Justin, and our resident Chad Naus. For the time being, just ice. If you'd like to become a patron of SadNaus, you can do so at patreon.com/SadNaus, where you can earn amazing perks like your name in a podcast, signed playmats, signed foil ad nauseums, and even a guest appearance on an episode of the show. At the recording of this episode, and when this episode releases, next week will be Silicon Dynasty, January 13th through the 15th, that weekend. Super hyped, super big tournament, going to be the first tournament of the year. If you're going to be there, make sure to stop by and say hello, because I will be there casting the entire weekend with my partner Shauna. Otherwise, if you can't make it, make sure you turn into the Twitch stream on Eminence's Twitch channel, where you can watch the whole tournament live as it's going on. If you want to, learn and get into cEDH at a tournament level. Other than that, don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and if you're listening on a podcast platform like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure that you leave us a review and a rating, because it'll help us reach new audiences. And with that, we're going to move on to our main topic. So, like Kian said, this is the fourth installment of the DDB updates. That's quarterly updates. So that means this is almost a full year that we've been doing DDB updates. Like that's crazy. That's kind of insane. Yeah. I don't know if that's enough, to be quite honest. I think maybe the DDB should be updated a little more often, but we've talked ad nauseum, about the problems and things that go into the DDB as a resource. and we got some things we're going to talk about, because there's some new stuff that's going to be happening in the sphere of website data analysis, as well as like cEDH data tracking, specifically when it comes to Decklist. But that's all for later in the show. For now, we're going to talk about this quarter's, update to the database.
As well as the quarterly drama that always happens after an update,
Yeah, there's always drama. A little bit too much drama, if I do say so myself. Although this time there is some justified drama, okay? And it might be coming from my mouth, and that's fine, okay? But we'll get into that as it goes on. So we got a bunch of decks added to the Brewers Corner. Actually, a lot. Like, this is a big Brewers Corner update. I think more than usual, right? Maybe not. Yeah. There's always a lot,
it's about almost the same. Yeah. There's only one deck we should be concerned about here. That the only deck that matters, Hamster. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. That's all you need to know. All right, end the episode here. Moving on to drama. We don't need to tell the other decks.
Oh, there's two Hamster decks? Oh my god. Wait. All right. I'm looking. We'll get to it later. But I see that they named one of the Hamster decks Hamster Boss. Why is it not Hamster? But did this person not get the memo? That
obviously not.
I guess. If you don't understand what we're talking about, you got to join the SadNaus Discord. We got plenty of inside jokes and community things going on in there that you're missing out on. And everybody else, the comments, if you know what's up, Hamster in the comments and go down there and see, and you'll know what we're talking about. But Kian, why don't you talk to us about some of these decks that got added to the Brewers Corner? We'll kind of skim through each one, talk about what the commander is and like what the deck is trying to do. Luckily, I have the database pulled up here. So as you go through a commander, we can stop on each one and I'll talk about it, and we can kind of go through what they are, because some of them are okay and some of them are really bad.
Yep. True. All right. So the first one we want to bring up here is a Warhammer 40K commander, Abaddon, the Despoiler.
Wait, what spoiler?
Despoiler. Despoiler. So it's just, I assume Grixis .deck you know.
Well, yeah, this one's weird. So it's a Grixis deck, right? So like inherently, it's probably good enough because Grixis and cEDH is like pretty strong. Although it's a Grixis deck with a 5-mana commander that doesn't have Eminence, right? So that hurts it. And then it tries to utilize like X spells for like an advantage in the game. So like Abaddon himself reads like during your turn, spells you cast from your hand with mana value X or less have Cascade, where X is the total amount of life your opponents have lost this turn. So there's like a ton of conditions to cascade your X spells, and I guess the idea is like you ramp a bunch and then you cascade, and then you cascade.
There's no X spells in this deck.
Well, what is it? The brew on here says it's trying to cascade. How else are you cascading if there's no X spells?
By casting a spell,
zero
and then
mana
you
spells?
cascade it.
No, because it says it has to have mana value X or less.
X or less. Yeah, so you cast a Time Twister. This triggers, or X is the total number of life your opponent's lost this turn. So you swing for 5, and then any spell you cast from your hand with CMC 5 or less have Cascade.
That's so bad, though. You have to cast your commander and then let it survive a turn cycle, then have an open attack before you can cascade into anything. Why would you play this over any other Grixis commander?
Inclusivity, I don't know, dude. DDB just puts random Grixis decks on here and he's like, yeah, it's Grixis.
I mean, Grixis is good, but like the cat, like what is Abaddon doing for you that other Grixis commanders don't just do better stuff? Even Silas, in my opinion, bro, even Silas has more text.
Yeah,
Silas
dude,
has more text than Abaddon. Silas kills Abaddon. Why would you be? So
this deck almost reminds me of Yidris, but to like a less power scale, because Yidris had trample, and all Yidris had to do was like connect, and then all your shit.
And it's playing stuff. It's playing stuff that like is only good in Cascade, like Ancestral Vision. Ancestral Vision is a bad card that's only viable if you're casting it for free off the top of your library where the suspend doesn't matter.
Dude, what are you talking about? I pay 1 blue mana and I draw 3 cards in 4 turns.
The game's over before turn 4.
Good to me.
I don't want to like shit on this deck because that's not like what I'm here for. But when you see a deck on the Brewer's card, like if I'm taking the perspective of a brewer, I'm gonna look at this deck and be like, no, this isn't making the database. Like this deck doesn't do anything unique that's worth it for the Grixis archetype. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Torch. Oh, this is the sideboard. Oh my god, I was about to go off, bro. They had Torch Courier in the sideboard. I was like, what?
Bro, Abaddon gains haste. What do you mean? Good card.
If you need haste enablers for your deck to work, unless it's Cody, like I don't think it's a good deck. I like Delayed Blast Fireball. That card's kind of sweet. What is like you have to play Flame Sweep. Flame Sweep is a board wipe for 3 mana, but like what is like board wipe? I don't know. Board wipes just don't seem like progressive enough. And you need it in this deck because you need your commander to be able to get through.
Another nitpick thing here. Why is he playing Hydro Blast and then Red Blast? Why not Blue Blast and then Red Blast?
Did you see whose deck this is?
Uh-oh.
It's Alex and Dane's deck.
Why are you on Hydro and not Blue Blast?
These are our friends. Oh my gosh. We're just like shitting on this deck, and it's our homies deck. That's so funny. They would say the same things though. Like Abaddon doesn't like.
I guess it does have trample. I'm now reading the card. It is trample. But
yeah. Still,
I don't know.
It's hard. You have to wait 2 turns, so you have to get to 5 mana, cast your commander before you do Cascade. Now, luckily, it's like a Grixis deck, right? So like. You're not actually like on the commander plan. And the way that this deck is built, you can see it. It's not on the commander plan, right? Like the real only succession to the commander is Ancestral Vision. And like if you're doing that, I didn't see Wheel of Fate. Oh yeah. Okay, so Ancestral Vision and Wheel of Fate, which inherently are not bad cards, right? Like if you're getting them off the cascade cost. Otherwise, these are unplayable.
Facts.
That's funny. It's Alex and Tatum's deck. That's hilarious. This is why, dude. This is why Moxfield is such a cool resource, like as a deck building website, because when you get to look at these lists, like the fact that they're connected to profiles and you can see who these brewers are and who these people are, like it adds like a social media aspect to the database that I think is really kind of cool.
It's exactly what they wanted.
Yeah. But Abaddon, I'm not a fan of. I don't think Abaddon's going to make the cut on the next review cycle. What do you think?
Agreed.
All right. What's
Agreed.
next, Kian?
All right. Bjorn Elmar mid-range. So it's the Friends Forever Bjorn Nightfall Alchemist. Blue-red 1/3. Sack an artifact. It deals 1 damage to target creature. And then Elmar Friends Forever Haste. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, untap target creature, then investigate. And it's 1 red and green.
What an interesting deck. So I've seen this deck at tournaments before, and I've always just kind of brushed it off because I'm just like not impressed with it, I guess would be the phrase I would use. I think the Friends Forever commanders, like we're used to seeing like Baby Farm, right? Because our friend Bryce plays it, but like you don't have to make the Luris succession. I keep saying succession. What am I trying to say?
Luris, I know what you're trying to say too.
Yeah, like where you have to concede cards, right, for the condition. You don't have to do that here, I don't think, with concession, not secession. Yeah, you don't have to make the Luris concession here. And it's like a token generator, so it's playing cards like Oko, making more food tokens and doing things like that, which I think is like really cute. But Sans White is not like a archetype that I'm super familiar with. So I don't want to judge this deck too hard because I could say stuff like, man, this is garbage. But like
it's just Teamer.
Oh yeah, it's not Sans White. What the heck? I'm just so used to seeing 2 partners and thinking that a deck is
4 colors.
It's 4 colors, yeah. So no, it's just a Teamer brew. Interesting. What do you think of it?
I don't know. Like, aside from the classic, like, oh, just play like a better mid-range deck. Just looking at the deck right now, I just don't like. I don't know why you wouldn't want to play white. Like, I get why. Like, I get like the cuteness of like the Friends Forever. Like, they're like an underplayed and underexplored like archetypes and like deck building wise, but like that they don't really do anything that powerful, in my opinion.
Yeah, Teamer's a hard color, right? Because like most Teamer that we see are
like Polyrog and like
Polyrog is like the main Teamer deck that I see, right? And that's Thrasios Rograk, which is like actually really, really good deck. So like seeing a Teamer deck like this, it's interesting. And it's weird to see cards like Brutaclad and things like that because those are really high CMC cards that like if that's what your combo includes is like comboing with Brutaclad and like Cyberdrive, or what did they say that the combo included? Brutaclad and Cybernetic Avenger. Like those are really oddball lines that seem very hard to assemble. Yeah. So interesting deck. I hope that it performs because like Friends Forever kind of gets a lot of hate, the Stranger Things commanders. So like I hope it would perform like pretty well, but I would say that this is another deck that I don't think might make the next review cycle.
Yeah. I just don't see how this deck outclasses Dawnwaker in any way. Like that's what I'm comparing like red, green, blue X to. Like a mid-range deck, like to that threshold. Can you compete with Dawnwaker or like TNT mid-range? No? Yeah. Okay, then I don't think you'll be able to make it on.
Yeah, that's an interesting like rating scale, right? Like because that's one of the best decks in the format. And so like but it is what you should be. Like when we look at a Grixis deck, we're comparing it to Rogsai, right? When we look at any Sands Green pairing, you're going to compare it to Blue Farm. So like when you look at like a Teamer pile or, Red, Green, Blue X, you're going to compare that to Dawnwaker. And Dawnwaker performs so well under so many conditions. And then you look at this deck and it's like, oh, well, I'm either dual caster, twin flaming, or doing a Brutaclad combo. I don't know like how viable that is, right?
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next deck. Burkos Polymorph. The deck title is Triple Breach.
So Rakdos, and we're going to read some of these like brewer links because they help us kind of better understand these decks as well. But it says this is a Rakdos Turbonos deck built around Burkos' mana making ability. It trades speed for mid-range value through combat. In addition to this, the list plays Chaotic Transformations and Reality Scramble in order to turn Street Urchin into Underworld Breach, which is the best payoff for Naus decks. Unlike most polymorph lists, this does not come at a large takeoff, as many Rakdos lists only play a few enchantments other than Breach, with the most notable being Necropotence. So they're not playing any other enchantments.
Nope.
They're just playing Underworld Breach. And they are... Yeah, because it's an enchantment background. Oh, that's actually kind of sick. So you polymorph the enchantment into Underworld Breach. Yep. But there's only 2 polymorph effects that do card type, that not creature type. So or just creature, right? So Chaotic Transformation, which is from Dominaria, and then Reality Scramble, which is take a permanent and get another card that shares a card type with it, which is cool. Like polymorph into Breach is, I've never seen that before. So that's kind of hot, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty spicy.
And you can only do that, in reality, you can only do that with the party commanders, the choose a background commanders, because they're enchantments, which is actually kind of sick. I don't know how like good it is, but that's fun. Like I like looking at that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Pretty fun. Yeah.
I will say, Rakdos Naus decks have the biggest dick, hands down. Like you're choosing not to play blue. Okay,
I don't know if you can play blue with this strat. I think if they were given the option, if there was a 2-color choose a background commander, they would use it, right? Like if there was a blue black one, and then they could background pair it with Street Urchin, then it'd be Grixis polymorph into Urza. That would be cool, but I don't think that even exists, right? Like,
no. I'm just saying in general, because like as a player, you know that Grixis is just better, but you're just like, no, fuck counter spells, fuck Thoracle. I'm going hard in the paint, baby. Bolas Citadel, PETA. I don't. Fuck it.
What do you mean, bro? They get counter spells. We have Deflecting Swap, Pyroblast, and Reb.
Flusterstorm, Force of Will, Force of Negation, Dispel.
What are you talking about? You don't need those.
Fears.
Just win the game, forehead.
Just win the game.
This is cool though. This is cool. All right. So like, I feel bad because like I'm gonna hate on some strategies and I'm gonna love others because I'm a human and I have opinions, right? So like. I like when we see the Abydos guy, and it's like I don't like this stupid condition, right, for Cascade. I think that's dumb. And then I look at this, I'm like, polymorph into Underworld Breach. That's kind of hot. Like I kind of like that.
It's kind of spicy. I do like the idea of flipping your commander into Underworld Breach. That's pretty cool.
And you have access to it at all times. Well, you have access to the Street Urchin, right?
Yeah.
So like all you need is like. The problem, I guess, is that the spells that do that are so fucking expensive, and they're just waiting to eat a counter spell.
Yeah.
Like you're casting,
or they're waiting for you to take your 6 damage off Chaotic Transformations for your Naus. That's what I'm saying. The biggest dick. Fuck 6.
Hey, that's okay. We also play like fucking PETA. We play Mizzix Mastery.
They're on Bolas Citadel. They don't care about that Naus. They just want to win the game, baby.
Do they run Naus too? Yeah, they do run. Screw it. We're value Nausing for like 7 cards. Okay, that's all we need is a wheel. It's a 5-mana wheel at that point. That's cool. Wait, they're playing Corpse Dance? What creatures are we getting with Corpse Dance?
It's Dockside Loops.
Oh, yeah. Damn, does Corpse Dance? Oh, because, yeah, you just play the buyback. That's good. Oh, they got fucking Mayhem Devil. You know what? I like this deck. I don't think it's good, but I like it. That's so funny.
Pretty funny.
I've never seen that. And then there's another Diada Breach deck, but it's a Cloudstone Curio.
Yeah. So there's two Diahada Breach decks, which is like the
Oh,
I think
skipped.
where's she from?
Diahada.
Is this
Diahada
a
must be
commander
from-
set? I don't know what that's from. But it's 1 and Mardu Planeswalker.
Oh, Diahada's from Baldur's Gate, it looks like.
Yeah, this is just think Mad Farm. There you go.
No, that's Dominaria. She's from Dominaria.
Yeah. What do you think about Dahada, these two decks?
Well, there's a few things. First off, the first one, Cloudstone Breach, is that the one we're looking at?
Yeah.
Or Diahada Burns the World. Either or, right? They're both the same kind of concept. For Cloudstone Breach, shout out to the Brewers. Shout out to Claire, Joe Burton, Mualak, Skylar, and then Sakara, the homies. I don't know how I feel about Dahada. Dahada's like a very interesting commander. Up to one legendary creature gains Vigilance, Life, Think Indestructible. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put any number of legendaries from among them. So that's like the ability that you're playing it for. Is the reveal, the -3.
Yeah.
And then its ultimate is gain control of all non-land permanents till end of turn. Untap them and they gain haste. Kind of cool. I don't think you're ever alting this commander though. So this color combination, right? It basically like makes me think of like Dami Mommies, like Tim Najeska, right? And I just don't know how this plays better than Tim Najeska. Like you have to play a lot of legendaries, right? To make the -3 like really strong. And the legendaries you're playing are like pretty interesting, right? You're like on like a Shuffle Titan. You've got Magda. Is that right? That Titan shuffles? Kozilek? Yeah. Yep. So you got a Shuffle Titan. You got Magda lines. You've got Abdel loops. So like you're doing like the things that this color pairing does. But I don't know if like it feels like a condition, right? Like you're playing a bunch of like weird combos to fit your condition because your commander can help you assemble them a little bit easier. And you also like it's very color intensive. Which like sucks. I've been playing like tons of Najeela lately, not to compare this to Najeela, but the value of your commanders being partners or as little colors as possible when you're casting them is huge. So like when I see these really pip intensive commanders like Dahada, Abydos and stuff like that, it really like makes me think about how hard those will actually be to cast in games, especially in cEDH games where like majority of the time you're keeping like 2-land hands at best. So it makes the like turning on your 3 pip 3 CMC command or 4 CMC commanders or whatever with 3 different colored pips makes it like how realistic really is that, right? And if your game plan kind of hinges on that and you're just like drawing fucking Kozileks, like these draws are dead, throughout the game. So like how do they help progress your game forward? I don't know. So that's kind of like my initial thoughts on Dahada, but like as I've been talking, what do you think?
I don't know. I don't really see this making it off the Brewers corner as well. Like you said, the 3 pips is pretty intensive. And then not only that, just like your main win con is like either dockside breach loops, and then you just go burr with your commander, or it's like doomsday
Abdel.
Piles.
No, it's Abdel loops.
Because
you have Abdel, you have Abdel Adrian with Mayhem Devil, and then you have Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead Necromancy, and you also do like breach loops and stuff. But
they're not on Cat. The Leonin.
Leonin Relic Order. Leonin Relic Order is a really hard card to play. Like the Mayhem Devil's enough, and you have Meat Hook Massacre, so like you have 2 ways to win with Abdel ETBs. So you don't really need the other ones, but yeah, and then like any deck that plays Tymna in the 99. Just play a Tymna deck. That's how I see it. If you like Planeswalkers and you like this color combination, just play Tymna Jessica. You don't need You don't need Kozilek. You don't need these other cards. That's just what I think. Like right, like when I think of what decks perform, and that's what we're gonna do comparisons on. So like I said earlier, we're not trying to like shit on decks or shit on strategies that make the Brewers corner, but just These are
We're
the things
giving our honest opinions here.
Yes, honest, truthful opinions. And then same with like Dihada Burns of the World. That's the other deck that's out here by Dreadseeker. Pretty similar list, like almost 1-for-1 actually. But they're on Leon and Relic Order. So like you were saying, how it's interesting the other one's not on Leon and Relic Order. They have a Shuffle Titan. So playing a Kozilek, there must be a reason to play the Shuffle Titan because they're both on it, and it's got to be better than just like being a legendary. Does Dihada put it into play?
It puts it in your hand and you create 10 treasures.
Oh, yeah. And then you can reanimate it and get Annihilator for.
Yep.
Pretty cool, I guess. Not bad.
But I guess it's awkward if you're going off with Grinding Station and you don't have Kozilek in your hand.
Are they on Grinding Station? Are we at that point? Yeah, they are with Cloudstone Curio.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because you can just respond and cast something, but it makes it extra stress, I guess.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, Dihada, I don't know. I mean, it seems powerful, but yeah, I'd be hard pressed to see this thing making it very far. Next deck, I love this deck. This deck is so good. We're talking Tymna Halana Hulk. Tymna Halana,
honk.
Yeah, honk. We've seen Gustav take this to a top 4 in a chaos tournament, actually, and they lost in the top 4 to someone who was cheating. So, that was back when legit vocals was a thing. But Halana Tymna Hulk, dude, fucking so good. Such a good deck. This one is by Jimmy S. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty similar to what we've seen, like perform really well at like in other lists. So you got like Body Snatcher. It's basically just Hulk, reanimate Hulk, go infinite, and then you don't even have to go infinite, dude. There's like just value piles that just win you the game through combat damage. Halana is a sacrifice outlet for like your Academy Rector and shit like that, or for the creature that you Pattern of Rebirth. It's just so sick, dude. Halana's a pinger. Tymna gets you cards. Like, you never die, you're gaining life, and you're just like, every card in your deck has some impact. So it's just like super cool to see. I love Tymna Halana. What do you got to say?
I agree. I like this deck. Abzan, really struggles as a color combination to keep up, but with both Halana applying board control, then Tymna to utilize that board control to draw you cards is pretty powerful. There's some cards in this list that I'm looking that are like Boonweaver Giant.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
I don't know why that's in there. But other than that, I think the general strategy is also like very solid.
There's cool cards in here too, though. Like, you get to play Yawgmoth, right? Safi, Eric Stoddard. These are like cool cards. You get to play the new Ellis. Like, this is a fun list. This is a fun list that wins games. That's how I view it, Like, it's got questionable card choices, but so does every deck, right?
Still gonna win games.
Yeah. People will argue that fucking you playing Lavinia and Blue Farm's a questionable choice, but like, we think it wins games and it's fun to play, right? So like, that's how I see a lot of the pieces in this deck. But Tymna Halana, I'm fond of. Let's see that on the database, please.
Agreed.
After that, Hanada midrange, fucking, I feel like we've talked about Hanada a bunch because it's like always on the Brewers corner, always getting taken off, always getting added.
Yep.
I don't know how this Hanada deck is any better than what we've seen from past Hanada decks, or if it's just Bacalypse's deck. Bacalypse is pretty active in the community. I mean, yeah, it's like Hanada. What is it? Hanada Wheels? Is that what it is? Ooh, that's kind of fun. Like Narsets and stuff like that.
Looks like it's a kitten deck.
Oh, kitten decks. I'm not a fan of kitten decks.
Do
you like kitten as a strategy?
No.
I think it's like way too hard to go off. I mean, okay, you have kitten and you have Teferi, like 3 fairy, which like does the thing. But I just find like it's kind of like very hard to assemble. And then like kitten as a value piece with like Dockside and stuff only works if you have like the non-creature spells to back it up, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think we really need to spend that much time on this. It's just like a Jeskai mid-range pile with Kitten. Like, I don't... Has any Hanada deck made the DDB yet?
Not a single one.
Okay, then what? There's nothing to talk about here. Moving on to the next deck that we got. Marnius Calgar Infinite Mana Outlet. All right, so I helped Brian, a player in our play group. He wanted to brew Marnius Calgar. It's an Esper commander. You can go off with like Dramatic Reversal, and then if you make enough mana, you win the game. The mana sink. To be honest, I don't think Esper's really in a good spot right now in today's meta. Like better Esper commanders like Timna Sakashima or Timna like Malcolm. I just feel like Timna Blue X provides the card advantage that you need.
Yeah. I mean, what's your like? Do you like Marnius though? Like, do you think I think it's a viable strategy. I think having an infinite mana outlet in the command zone is like a pretty good way to win the game. I mean, I played Timna Jessica for a long time, or not Timna Jessica. I mean, any Jessica deck,
Ishai
right?
Jessica.
Yeah. Ishai Jessica. Yeah, I love Jessica in the command zone. I think that this is like a more mana intensive.
That's why I don't think it's up there because it's 2 than Esper. That's why I'm like, because Jessica's just 2 in a red. That's all you need.
It's pretty easy to get. Yeah. I mean, it's a scepter deck, right? And it tries to accrue value. It's hard to go infinite when you don't have dockside loops. So like you just like have to manually assemble scepter wins. I could see this deck being one that like plays a lot of excessive ramp, and then maybe plays like a Tezzeret even to get your scepter combo, like along with power artifact and stuff like that. Because like this deck I found it makes an excessive amount of mana, like because of the fact that it's a scepter deck, and then you just like kind of run out of things to do with it. Yep. You know what I mean? Besides just like casting Marnius and making the tokens with 6 mana. The amount of times I've seen people make tokens with Marnius when you could be casting better spells, you know?
Literally anything else.
Yeah, I think like things like that could make this deck a little bit more consistent, but I like the deck. I think that this is like this could be the next Esper deck to make the database, and I wouldn't be mad. Like I'd be like, but I wouldn't be like, oh, this didn't deserve it, right? I think like it's viable enough. It plays all the good Esper cards. Like, I think this is better than Timna Sakashima.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be mad if this makes it. I don't know.
What do you think of that statement, though? I think this is better than Timna Sakashima.
I don't really give a fuck. So, I personally am not high on Timna Sakashima, anyways. So
that's what I'm saying. But like, I think Marnius is better than that, and that's on the database.
I don't know, man. 2 Timnas pretty good.
Sure.
I guess I don't know. I've never seen that deck win anything or seen it anywhere.
I've never seen that deck cast 2 Timnas. I don't know why it's called that.
2 Timna.deck. I got 2 Timnas.
Okay. Now we're getting into my zone. Okay. The next deck on here. Oh, wait. Maybe this isn't my zone. No, we're close, though. This is close. Yeah, this is Maria, Scholar of Antiquity. This is the elf deck, right? It's like the green red Gruul. That's enough to tell me it's unplayable. It's Gruul. Why are we doing this? Okay, you're either playing Rurik Thar or you're playing Minsk and Boo, and that's it. There's no other viable strategy in Gruul. The fact that the number 1 deck on here is called Urza at Home. Why aren't we just playing Urza, dog?
They can't afford Force Will, buddy. Come on. We got to play Gruul cards here.
So those of you that don't know, Maria is the legendary elf. She's 1 in a Gruul. Tap an untapped non-token artifact you control to create a green. So you can tap, your artifacts that make mana for colored mana, I guess. And you can tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts you control to exile the top card of your library, and you may play it this turn. So like Jessica's Will at Home, kind of.
Yeah. It does the Urza thing. I think that's why they named it, because you can tap your like static orb, winter orb, trinisphere, and then cast spells, and then
I get it. Okay,
yeah,
so it's just like bad Gruul stacks.
perhaps.
I don't know if yeah, but the Urza thing just does it better, right? Because it has an outlet for it on the card.
So does
Like
this,
it has an outlet. Yeah, but but it has an outlet for the mana. It's like
right? You're
Urza,
not wrong.
you can flip your whole deck, right? You can flip your whole deck while you tap this stuff down. With this thing, you either tap for mana or you tap to exile a card that you can play this turn, but it doesn't surpass timing restrictions and it might not work on the end step before your turn. So why would you do that? So you're just going to make mana it just seems bad.
Listen, we get to play Vexing Susher in here.
Wait, what? Maybe this deck is playable.
Cards bog, dude.
So it's got Kiki combos. What is it Kiki comboing with?
It Gruul snooping.
Oh,
You be snooping.
Yep, you're snooping. This deck do be snooping, though.
Be snooping.
I would like to see this deck, which I don't see it on. I would like to see like Dualcaster Twin Flame in here. You're in Gruul. Like you might as well play like the best combo in your colors, which is Dualcaster Twin Flame. You're playing artifacts? Fuck it. Throw Godo in that shit. I don't know. Just win more. I don't know what you're trying to do here.
Slap Godo in this bitch.
Get Godo in the 99. Helm, you can tap it for mana. Who cares?
Tap Helm, equip Helm. Go to combat.
Yeah, dude. Think about it. But yeah, I don't know if I never really liked Maria. I think everybody saw this card when it was spoiled with like the rest of the cards. And they were like, oh, cool. And that was it, right? Like nobody really, I don't think people really saw what like potential it had.
I know some people were like, oh, dude, this is so cool. And then like everybody else is just like.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this
card's bad.
Oh, this one's
bad,
cool.
man.
It's playing God Pharaoh statue. Okay, I'm into it. Holy shit, dude. One of these is on 40 artifacts.
What?
Yeah, one of the lists has 40 artifacts.
Yeah, I gotta see this one list.
What? 40?
All right, the stacks list is on like Imp Recruit or Dualcaster Mage. So
that's good. I like that one. That one's good. Oh, dude, it's on Mind Goblin. It's on 40 artifacts and Mind Goblin. What is this deck? Oh, that's so sick. If there's one thing I love, it's like fun brewing. I do love fun brewing.
What the fuck?
That's what I'm saying. 37. We're on Jeweled Lotus in a deck where your command. I guess it takes 2 cost out of your commander. Not bad.
All right, enough talking about an insignificant Gruul deck. All right, baby. You guys came here for the best Gruul deck, one of the best decks. Hamster, Minx, and Boo mid-range. All right, listen, Hamster Man. That's all we need to know about.
Is that just you just gotta leave it and say Hamster a bunch? Hamster Man.
So if you guys don't, I'm not even going to explain Hamster to you. Okay, you guys should know this. This is the Planeswalker Hamster. Pretty powerful stuff here.
Yeah, this is a sacrifice outlet on a Planeswalker.
Yep. It's just Hulk stuff.
Put some counters on some things. Fucking fling some stuff. You get to fling it, which is sick. And then you get to Hulk things into play, dude. Imagine if I went right now to my bedroom, grabbed my hamster, and threw it at you as hard as I could.
Fuck.
Okay, doesn't that sound awesome?
How many +1/+1 counters did you put on it first?
None. I just threw it at you. Okay,
Fuck.
I didn't need to. But like that's what this deck is, right? You just get to fling shit and then Hulk people. So it's fun. This is, in my opinion, this is the most viable Gruul deck that exists. Is Minsc and Boo Timeless Heroes. I think it's better than Rurik Thar. We have our friend, who is a huge Rurik Thar pilot, and when we went to Punt City, he was playing Minsc and Boo. So like maybe that means something. I don't know. Shouts out to Surreal. But Yeah, I don't know. I think that this deck is like insanely fun and insanely cool to play, and it gives Gruul some life where it hasn't had life previously. Gruul's been kind of a dying archetype for a long time. I don't know if anybody watched the MLC last season, but not a single Gruul deck was taken or played for the entire season. It just kind of goes to show like what people think of the archetype. So seeing a commander come out like this one that gives it a really viable strategy, I'm all for it. Love it. Let's put it on the DDB tomorrow.
Bam. Hamter on the DDB. 2 Hamters on the DDB. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to echo you because like Gruul really hasn't like had legs at all in this format. But I feel like with this, like this Planeswalker is just so like it took over Legacy, or not took over, but it made a pretty big impact in Legacy. Like just leaving this Planeswalker by itself, like if you can't attack it or anything, it just kind of spirals out. And if you're playing a Naus deck, you're getting hit for 4, hit for 7, hit for 10. You know, that damage racks up. And then it's a sack outlet for your Hulk. And yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty decent deck.
I like it. Let's put it on there.
Put it on there. All right. We got 2 more, Adam.
Before we get to my mold session.
Your mold session.
Yeah. So we got Sands Blue Turbo Snake Farm, Sands Blue Turbo Timnatana Turbo.
Yep.
Sands Blue, fun archetype. Snake Farm, I played it in the MLC. I like it. It's fun. It's really hard to pilot, but if you can do the thing, it's good. I think Snake Farm is viable. I think people can play it. I think it probably deserves a spot on the database. It's just like partner good stuff. Partner good stuff's always been good. So, why not? It has like a bunch of combos, as many as it can fit in the deck. I find that to be good shit. But
I feel that's okay.
Yeah, like if this was added, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, okay, partner good stuff, 4-color good stuff. It always deserves a spot, right? Like you got to convince me. You got to convince me that a partner, like a 4-color partner deck, is bad, which is kind of hard to convince me of. And then they
have the Timnatana version of it.
Yep, which I think is stronger. I like Timnatana. Oh, look at whose deck it is. Do you see it?
So, anyways, moving on.
What do you mean? It's our friend Nicholas Joking 101's deck. Timnatana is fun. This is just like a turbo version, so it's not playing the blood pod pieces, that like make blood pod what it is. You played blood pod for a while, right? How do you think this deck compares?
I think it's just more suited to today's cEDH climate, I guess you could say. Stack, like if you're spending 3 mana to cast Archon and then curve out and cast like a 5-drop or something, it's either getting countered or someone's won the game already. So I feel like this is a good take. I can honestly see myself playing a deck like this.
Yeah, I
wouldn't be angry if it got to the DDB.
No, I like these faster strategies, and I think that it helps, like it's updating with the meta, right? When you play these faster decks that kind of compete at a more speed oriented pace. All right. It's time for me to mold. Okay.
He's molding.
Severina Hate Bears is the next deck on our list. A fucking shit deck. Okay, no, I'm not gonna say that it's a shit deck. Germ Dog, props to you for building a sweet Orzhov deck. My Orzhov friend, right? We love Orzhov. But Timna Armix didn't die, so Severina could walk. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. Commissar Severina Rain, those of you that don't know, is from the new Warhammer 40k precons. Whenever Commissar Severina Rain attacks, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. Cute, right? And then you may pay 2 mana and sacrifice another creature. You gain 2 life and draw a card. In the little preview to this deck, they say this deck is trying to pull off Abdel Adrian combo with Animate Dead like pieces and Corpse Knight or Ellis type effects. The deck is filled with hate bears to slow people's plan down until it can assemble its pieces, usually by turn 4 or 6. The commander is an infinite mana sink, which is not true, but we could talk about that. If you do not have all the combo pieces available, and has a backup combo with Leon and Relic Order. The deck is particularly strong against turbo decks like Rog Silas that can't win through Rule of Law or Thalia-like effects, and weak to grindy mid-range decks that can draw lots through the command zone like Tymna and Thrasios. So, well, like I'll start off by saying that like Commissar Severina is not an infinite mana sink because it requires you to have creatures in order to do it. So, like, knowing Orzhov, this deck might at most have 6 creatures on the board. So you'll gain 2 life and draw maybe 5 cards, right? You'll gain 10 life and draw 5 cards, which isn't bad, but then you get rid of your entire board, which most of your board's going to be hate bears, which I don't like as a strategy, right? You want to keep your hate bears on board as long as possible. The only time that ability is going to come into play is when people are removing your creatures, and like if they're exiling them or doing anything like that, you get to, you know, sacrifice them instead and draw a card, so you gain some value. Other than that, it's like pretty typical Orzhov stuff. Academy Rector is really fun, especially if it's getting you like your Necromancy or Animate Dead. There's, you know, all the typical Orzhov hate pieces. You got Glowrider, Drannith, all the best stuff that you could be playing. You're playing Heliod Suncrowned, which makes me assume you're playing Walking Ballista. No, you're just playing it for value.
No, they're on Ballista.
No, they're not. I don't see it. Oh, it's a creature, right? Yeah, you are on Ballista. That's a combo that's not necessary. It's something that like we explored when we were playing Orzhov. Like Heliod Ballista is just like too much. Like you're on Abdel Adrian, add in a Leon and Relic Warder, and just focus on that game plan and just draw a bunch of cards, right? That's how I would see it, at least. Muriel, I like Muriel. That's really cool. But if you're on Muriel, yep, you're on Grand Abolisher. Yeah, Orzhov has limited pieces. You're on the Thalia effects, which like we couldn't afford to run in like Tymna Armix, so like Thalia effects are really strong. And then you're running Tymna in the 99 because, you know, Tymna's just better than your commander. But
True.
like other than that, like this is I like this deck. I like this Orzhov deck. Although if Tymna Armix didn't make the deck database, I don't see this deck making the database, unfortunately. But I like that the DDB likes to showcase new commanders and showcase what they're when they're viable and what things that they do well, right? Abdel representation is something the DDB seems to care about. I don't know how much they care about it, but they seem to care about it. Your instants get really interesting, right? You have Imp's Mischief, which is cool. Orem's Chant, which is cool. You know, Soul Partition, which is a card that people have been really high on. Unexpectedly Absent. Never seen that card before. I guess it's cool. So lots of cards that you could like look at and maybe change a little bit. You don't need High Market. I don't know why you have High Market in here, because you don't have a way to untap shit unless you're just using it to sack your Academy Rector. There's just some interesting choices like for cards that you're playing. I get you're on a Tainted Pact mana base, but there's better cards than High Market and Crystal Vein. You don't need these cards. But yeah, that's just like this is what I see, what I think. I don't know if you have input on Orzhov. I know I've been brewing it for months, right? Like I've been knee deep in the Orzhov world. It's like that's why I can just like ramble off things that I see that I'm like, oh, you know, just do this, you know.
I'm not gonna say anything on the topic of Orzhov.
Okay, then we can move on to the next one then. Nice deck though. Nice deck.
We'll kind of breeze through these last couple here. So we got Tana Tymna Rector, which is basically like a Hulk deck with utilizing Rector to get Vivian, and then you go off with like Kiki lines or a Hulk line. Another Tevish Thrasios Flicker, which is another Kitten deck. Utilizing Kitten to flick Tevish, drawing a bunch of cards.
You know what's a better Thrasios Flicker deck?
What was that?
You know what a better Thrasios deck that I would love to have seen on the database would have been?
What?
Rocks. Do you know Rocks?
No. What's that?
Thrasios Togo.
Threat. Yo, rocks!
You just make rocks and fling rocks at people.
You fling rocks at people. That's way better than Thrasios Tavish.
Tevish, yeah. Who cares about drawing cards when you can
Yeah.
fling fucking
Who needs to
rocks?
do that?
Okay.
Who needs to do that?
We
We got 3 Volhar decks. We have Dramatic Scepter Doomsday. We have another Scepter Doomsday, and then we have a third Scepter. These all look like Scepter Doomsday decks to me.
That's all Vohar does. So you can see we got Alchemist on this deck. Our boy Alk, Nick. Glad to see him on another deck. What's the other Vohar deck? The other Vohar deck has BPX Dude, and the last one is Edalos and Scrambled Dude. It's just like, I mean, Vohar does one thing. You either do Doomsday Piles or you Scepter.
Yep.
So, you know what? Let's do them both in every single one, right?
Yeah.
It's a 2-color deck. So, like, your win cons are super limited, and you have a commander that has an infinite mana outlet. So, like, sure. Right? Let's just fucking do Scepter shit. Or, like, you untap it, draw your deck, I guess, right? There's, like, untapper shit with Scepter. I don't even know what you're putting on Scepter here. Is it just infinite mana outlet?
Yeah, you just draw your deck with Vorhar.
Oh, yeah, because you make infinite colored mana, and you just keep recasting Vohar. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
No, you just draw your deck. Because his tap is draw card.
Okay, I see now.
Yep. And then the last deck is Urian Sky Nomad.
Yorian. Okay. Yorian, dude, is so fun. It reminds me of Thrasios Tago for one reason, and it's because the Frog server plays this deck a ton. Okay. And it's a shit deck that sucks at winning the game. It's actually horrible at winning the game because all it does is like fucking flicker all your ETB shit, make a bunch of shit, make a bunch of tokens, stall the game out, and try to fucking beat you down. Okay. Like beat your opponents down and win through combat damage, which isn't like a super like viable strategy, right? But you get to play cool cards. You get to do kitten flicker shit, right? You get to play cards like Cloud Fairies, Charming Prince, right? You get to play the new fucking Preston, the Vanisher, like all these flicker effects, which is fun. It's cool, but not at all very viable. I'll tell you that much.
It's cute. It's cute.
You get to play Restoration Angel, Vintage Cube All Star in the 99. Oh my god, this deck is broken. Oh, Counterbalance. Oh, you know it's a good deck if Counterbalance is in the 99. I love that shit. What is Dance of Many? I've never seen this card. When it enters the battlefield, create a top of your non-token creature. When Dance of Many leaves the battlefield, exile the token. When the token leaves the battlefield, sack. Too much text. It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Like we're just not gonna read that shit.
Jesus.
So Yorian, I know has been like a meme deck for a while, but like cool. I'm glad it made the Brewers Corner show some life.
Not gonna get on the DDB though. So
yeah. Oh, and that's it for decks that made the Brewers Corner this time around. Took a fucking hour just to talk about those. Yeah. So we'll go through the rest really quickly. And then we'll go over our thoughts. Like, right, we always do our analysis of the database at the end. But in the meantime,
moving on to the best segment of this show, the flavor text of the week. For those of you that are just tuning into our show or don't know what this segment is, it's where I try to stump you, the audience, and Adam, who's the only guy on this podcast today, with a challenging flavor text trivia. If you'd like to participate, listen carefully and put your answer in our Discord in the flavor text judge channel to win a free pack on us. So let's get started. Adam, I got a nice and easy one here for you, bud. Nice and easy. Ooh, Captain Kidd. Poggers. Yeah. All right, nice and easy one. You should, if you don't get this, you're banned from the server.
Wait,
that's
server?
Your hint. That's your hint. Okay? Ready?
Okay. Yeah.
The power of a waterfall, the fury of an avalanche, the intellect of a gale force wind.
The way that you said that makes me want to just go, oh, it's Minskin Boo.
Nope, they don't have flavor text.
That's what I didn't think, because they're planeswalkers. So say it to me again.
The power of a waterfall, the fury of an avalanche, the intellect of a gale force wind.
Sounds like it sounds like the intro to Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Water Nation, the Fire
The water
Nation.
The Snow Nation.
Okay, one more time. I've been joking around. I gotta be serious now.
The power of a waterfall, the fury of an avalanche, the intellect of a gale force wind.
Power of a waterfall, the fury of an avalanche, and the intellect of a gale force wind. Power of a waterfall, fury of an avalanche, and intellect of a gale force wind. If you don't get this, you're banned from the server, is your hint. I don't know this one. Is it a colored card?
Yes.
Okay, it is a colored card.
I don't think you're going to get this one.
Oh, it's like hard?
So you're banned from the server room.
Well, what is it? I don't think I've ever seen this flavor text on a card.
It's a Hampter card.
Oh,
obviously.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Is it exclusive to Hampter?
Perhaps.
Is it Cloudstone Curio? No, that's not a colored card.
No. And I've already done that one.
Oh, really? Damn.
It's a red card. It costs two and a red.
Is it the Minotaur?
Yes.
Oh, what's the Minotaur's name? Wait. Oh, the Minotaur.
It's actually a changeling, but sure.
Yeah. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the art has a Minotaur on it.
Oh, what is it? What's the name of it? I should know this.
Turian Mauler.
Oh, Turian Mauler. Yeah, that card's fun, dude. It's a fucking, you just fling it. That's all you care about.
Yeah. And you draw like 20 cards. Yeah, so that's Adam's flavor text, which he bombed terribly. So
no, I got it at the end. You said Hampter card. I'm like the Minotaur.
All right, now for the audiences, this used to be a Pauper All-Star. The explorer who found it got a bad deal when he sold it. He merely got rich. The explorer who found it got a bad deal with it. The explorer who found it got a bad deal when he sold it. He merely got rich. Jesus.
The hardest part about flavor text for everyone is that Kian can't read the fucking card.
Hey, listen.
So the text is always fudged up.
It doesn't matter. Dylan and Maria just get it anyway. So,
awesome. So yeah, if you get any of those, or if you get that one right, make sure that you put it in the flavor text judge channel with spoiler text in our Discord, and then we'll do a drawing at the end of the week, and we will send you a free pack if you win the drawing. So you got nothing to lose. It's free. So go ahead and do it. And with that, we're going to move on to the quick segment of the podcast. So there is a couple decks that got upgraded to the main page of the DDB. Very selective decks that got upgraded to the main DDB. And to be 100% honest, I don't mind any of them. We had Malcolm Tevish midrange. So, you know, what's Demir, right? Malcolm Tevish. Treasure Maker Token Maker card drawer. Fucking good deck.
Yeah.
We talked about it last time. I really like Tevish Malcolm. Raffine midrange. We got locals that play Raffine. Good deck. Good Esper deck. Does the thing. Big fan of it. You don't need to cast your commander. Who knew? You could just win the game if you have good colors. Rocco Creature Tutor. Rocco. Super sick, right? It does a really good job at tutoring its win condition out of the command zone. No other deck does that. So like it's such a strong list, especially in its colors. Probably the best one out there in its colors, I would say. Besides, it's competing with the other Minsk card, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, like Rocco just is head and shoulders above the rest. You have Temur Thrasios midrange.
Pago.
It's not Tago. It's not Tago. Temur Thrasios also is not bad.
I totally forgot Tivit was a thing until I reread this.
Tivit is insane. Tivit's
forget.
actually like Tivit is actually respected. Okay, it's got Zane on the art, which
Thanks,
is
Ian.
awesome, right? Yeah, Ian won a whole ass tournament with it. Like you can't argue with results, and Tivit is just a good deck. Tivit's one of the only decks where like kitten combo is acceptable. I like kitten combo in Tivit because you just have a 1-card win condition. So like you don't need kitten, but it just adds value to your deck, which is awesome. And you get to flicker. Can you flicker your commander with kitten? Yeah. Okay. Busted. Nuts.
Oh, so now you think the card's good?
Only when you can flicker Tivit and you just make a bunch of treasures and shit. Like, who gives a fuck? And then we have some lists that were previously on the DDB but have been updated and renamed. We got Corvold Turbo Naus, which is now called Corvold Turbo. Another Corvold Turbo Naus deck got renamed to the Mad King. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth, is now Spicy Razakrick. Are the old names the first names, and then they're now under a new archetype? Okay. Wait, the old names. The first old names are the second
section
names.
It's under, and then they're
yeah. That makes sense. So all these decks, so something that the DDB has been trying to do is they've been trying to make everything easier to find. So rather than stupid deck names like Blue Farm, right? It's now going to be called, Timna Crom Midrange or something similar.
TNK Deluxe.
Not that. Anything but that. So so now all Corvold decks are going to be found under Corvold Turbo Naus. All Crick decks are going to be under Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. Rog Tevesh is now Rakdos Turbo Naus, which is a cool name. Bloodpod is now called Timna Tana Stacks, which it should have been called for the longest time. Sad to see you go, Bloodpod. You were one of the pioneers. Love you. And then instead of Pact of Nauseous Ninjas, it's Yuriko Tempo. So now, rather than seeing a bunch of stupid ass deck names on the database, you're going to see what its commander is and what it's doing, which I think is a huge upgrade to the database. Other than that, I'm looking at the database just to double check, making sure.
These were decks that got either added or they got re-added or renamed under the category. So Yuriko Tempo now has Pact of Nauseous Ninjas.
Yep. And then the last thing that we can touch on is decks that got removed from the Brewers Corner. Arden Rograk Godo Helm. That's a deck that we weren't super high on. Dargo Timna got removed from the Brewers Corner. That's blasphemy. We thought that deck was sick.
It wasn't Nathan's list, so good riddance.
Yeah. I mean, yes, fair point. But also, Dargo Timna is really good. So the fact that it's not getting respected on the database is a little bit upsetting. Demir Gale, I mean, okay. There's so much Demir shit out there, and Gale was not doing it. Falco Spara, we were not high on Falco Spara from day one. Nira mid-range. I don't even remember what Nira is. Old Rustine Food Chain. We talked about how that deck is not the greatest, right? Yeah. That there's better decks that do its strategy a little bit better. And then you have Rionia Infinite Combats. I liked Rionia. We have a fan of the show, a friend of ours that's super, super into Rionia, and I hate to see it keep getting disrespected like this. On the Brewers Corner, off the Brewers Corner, on the Brewers Corner, off the Brewers Corner. I think it does something unique for mono red. I think it's one of the better mono red options that you can play, right? I mean, what do you really have for options? You have Godo, and what else is there?
Bergie,
that's viable.
I guess. I don't know.
I guess Bergie. So you have Godo and Bergie. I think Rionia adds to mono red a lot, and I hate to see things getting shot down just simply because they're not. Because of the color identity. And speaking of things that get shot down because of the color identity, the last deck to get removed from the Brewers Corner was the Orzhov pair, Timna and Armix. My deck that I worked on soul-crushingly with Dr. Michael Levine for months has been stripped of it. I have no more clout, Kian. What am I going to do? I have no more clout.
You replaced
I don't have
your
a deck.
DDB clout with 03.
It's not. I wanted to be known as a brewer, Kian.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah, I got some feedback back from the database when I got my list taken off. Let's read it because this segues perfectly into our next thing, which is our thoughts on the database and the direction that they're going. So if I check my DMs with mod mail, where the hell is mod mail? I have it's all the way down here. Here it is. All right, so I contacted the DDB and I said, hey, my deck got removed from the database. Can I get some feedback as to why? As I thought my deck received really great feedback on the submission forms and it performed very, very highly at the tables I brought it to. And they said, this is exactly what they said. Sorry for the slow reply. We've been a little swamped. Ultimately, the team felt like your deck was well constructed. We weren't convinced that it provides more or different strategies than the Timna Tevish deck that fall in the very similar vein of Timna Armix. With a new influx of Orzhov lists that go in a clearly distinct version, we ultimately decided that we couldn't justify putting it on the main database at this moment and felt it had enough time on the Brewer's Corner. That said, the deck is clearly well put together, and with the new cards and shifts in the meta, our opinions can change over time in regards to displaying it. A couple thoughts on that. The first one,
just a couple.
I think Timna Armix is a lot different than Timna Tevish. I think our list specifically was very distinct from Timna Tevish. It has a board control aspect to it that Tevish does not provide, right? Armix clears the way, gets rid of stacks pieces that affect your deck specifically, lets you pick and choose what things can resolve and stay on the battlefield. It prevents opponents from playing their commander-centric strategies like Nagila because they can't physically feel safe putting it on the table without a way to protect it because it doesn't survive even a turn cycle before Armix considers it a threat and takes it off the table. I think that alone makes the deck way better than Timna Tevish because it just simply puts the game in your favor. Tevish draws you a few extra cards, and like if you're lucky, maybe you ultimate it. Also, like an influx of new Orzhov lists that go in very distinct directions. You guys just watched me talk about that 40k commander, Severina or whatever, and the deck ideas were almost identical. The only thing it had different is that you could sacrifice creatures to draw a card, which apparently the database loves because that's all that fucking Tevish does anyways. How is that more unique to Tevish than Timna Armix? I don't know, right? Sometimes the feedback that you get just doesn't make sense. And that's okay, right? Like this, in the grand scheme of things, your deck on the database doesn't matter. Although it is upsetting when you feel objectively correct and someone still tells you that you're wrong, which is kind of where I'm at, right? I feel like I worked really hard with Michael Levine. We did a lot of painstaking testing, lots of hours of conversations, lots of things like that, where we felt like, hey, we want to produce a list that's stronger than Timna Tevish, that performs better than Timna Tevish, and gives Orzhov a reason to be played, which we thought we did. And, you know, from our perspective, there's a feeling of, well, it was here first. So tough shit, right? Like, well, Timna Tevish was on the database first, so who cares that yours is slightly better or offers a slightly different strategy? We don't got room for it because Orzhov is bad. True. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I don't think that, like, Nalia, I can admit, different strategy completely. Nalia's cool. You can play a lot more cards than I can play. You implement the party command, your commanders do things. But the best commander option in Orzhov is Timna Armix, and I won't ever concede that point. There's nothing you can be doing in the command zone that's better than that pair, and I don't care what you say or who you are. So, you know, that's just where I'm at. But anyways, that's enough about me. Kian, based on this update, based on what you've seen, based on the things that we know, and the 3 update episodes we've done since this, how do you view the DDB? What do you think of them?
That's a pretty loaded question.
How do you think they're doing? Are they doing good? Like, are they doing bad? Are they doing what you want? Are they listening to the community? Give me some thoughts. All right.
Well, I think this review cycle We've been hearing back from like fans of the show, people that we know, and just like I know Timmy just recently uploaded a video about this new update as well, and it just feels like the general consensus of people submitting decks and then getting them like reviewed and then rejected is just like, oh, you're not playing this staple. Yeah, your deck isn't even considered. I feel like they're not like, I get it, right? It's a huge workload. You're doing it for free. I get it. You don't want to invest time into some like asshole on the internet complaining about his deck. Okay, like I get it. But
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, fuck you. but at the same time, it's like if you put more time and effort into stuff, the more you get back. And I feel like that's what they're not doing to a point. Because like the people that have contacted us in our server, Adam, the feedback has been, oh, you're not on, like I said, you're not on this stable. Oh, we just think that this strategy, like with you, Orzhov, isn't that good right now. And then like they turn around and do a different thing. Like if you purge the whole DDB and try to like push it more towards like a meta, like a cEDH meta, and still add like a bunch of other commanders that don't do shit, like why are you even like
that's a huge
going
point
on here?
If you're going to purge the database, remove 48 decks, right, and say it's in a attempt to make the database more competitive and more viable, and then you add commanders that don't do shit for the strategy or help you win faster or win more, then what is the point of that purge? Like the last update that they did, they got so much praise. Remember that? Everybody was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, way to go! You're going
this.
you're going above and beyond, and then you see an update like this, and it's like, oh, more bullshit commanders as always. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like we went through like the commander, like that's why we go through every one, because like, is this bullshit or is this viable? Out of what we saw like 4 that were like, put these on the database. Otherwise, it was kind of like, this is all bullshit. That's like do nothing, right? Like, and it sucks to say that, but like sometimes that is what it is, right? Like Abaddon, bullshit. Bjorna, bullshit.
Out of 14, only 4 were like somewhat, viable.
Yeah, like Halana Timna we liked Marnius, and we liked Minsk and Boo, and like Tana Timna, but Tana Timna is like already established, right? Like there's like, I don't know. It's just like, it is frustrating to see sometimes. And I get it, right? Like if they did a Brewers Corner update and only 6 decks got added, people would be like, what the fuck? Like they didn't do shit, right? But like, I don't know. It's just weird to remove like decks that perform really highly and then like, keep adding decks that don't do anything. And then like, I definitely did not like that response I got from the Brewers Corner. That's like, oh, well, we displayed it for long enough. Like you got your time in the light, right. like as if like that's like, that was like a really weird statement that like I felt kind of uncomfortable.
Prize or something.
Not even that it was a consolation prize. More so the fact that like that's how they view the database. Like we talk about how like there's this idea that Brewers, like we joke, right, about like, oh, there's so much clout attributed to the database, right? Like, and you have
we don't even joke. That's not even a joke. That's what it is.
I mean, it is. Yeah, it is the truth. But like the database always argues like we want to get away from that feeling, right? We want to get away from this idea of clout. We want to get away from this idea of like, you want to get away from this idea of like fighting for your database spot because of all the praise and getting the most viewed deck list or whatever. And then to come out with comments that are like, well, we displayed your deck for long enough. Like we already did you a favor. So now we feel like we're comfortable getting rid of it. It's like, that's kind of weird and kind of not like, I wouldn't call that the best statement, but it is what it is.
Like they practice like with what they're doing. They're trying to like do like inclusivity, right? They want to include everybody. They want to have like, here's all the decks you can play. And then they're like,
except that one.
That's what the database wants to do. The community is like, okay, you guys just purged 46 however many decks. That's great. Keep on doing that. We want more tuned cEDH decks to what the current meta is. We want to be able to go on this website and look at what other people are playing. What should I be preparing for if I'm just walking into new LGS or a new tournament? But this new update just doesn't really show that they're like taking what the community says to heart. You know? So
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And so like something that I wanted to touch on, like we can kind of give like a sneak preview to, that I think is headed in a direction that the community is going to enjoy more, is that I know that there's some people that are working on a website that tracks the data of tournament results. So it is going to be something similar or akin to like MTG Goldfish, but it only uses cEDH data from cEDH tournaments, pulling from every tournament that has existed or exists, and using that data to project what is the objectively defined meta and Decklist Database. Now, I use Decklist Database loosely because that already exists, but it's going to create a database of decklists that are considered meta dependent, right? Exist in a defined meta and are playable at a tournament level. And I'm really excited for when that's to come, because I think that's when you're going to see a large shift in the community's focus, kind of away from the DDB, which is just people's opinions, right? Database is people's opinions, and it's people's opinions on like, this is what we think is competitive, this is what we think is good, yada yada yada. And we're getting away from opinions and we're going to facts. This is what has been good. This is what shows results. This is what plays well. And you're going to see more things come out of that, like you see in other formats, specifically like 60 card formats like Legacy and things like that, where you see like, oh, Delver keeps winning games. Well, Delver must be the best deck. This is the best deck to play into any event. It'll be something similar to that, where you say, like, oh, wow, Blue Farm plays a lot of games. Blue Farm wins a lot of games. This is probably the best deck that I should be playing, right? And then the next deck is Timna Thrasios. And then the deck after that is Silas Rock, right? And it's going to go down the list based on tournament results, which I think is a huge thing for the community overall. And I'm really excited to see it. And I want to know in the comments down below, when you hear something like that, does that excite you? Does that disappoint you? Like, what do you think? Do you think the DDB is a resource that people should continue to utilize and look up to with as much praise as the community does? Or is it a resource that you think people are starting to depend on less and less? And how you think that that's evolving? Because like my opinion has changed a lot. Like I still think the database is a great resource for new players, so specifically people who are new to cEDH. But I think as you get more enfranchised as a player, like I've been involved in the cEDH community for like deeply involved for only like a year, where I would call myself an enfranchised player. And in that year, I went from like caring so much about the database to like, I only look at the database for these updates for our videos, right?
Same.
Because like it really doesn't matter like what's on the database. I'm going to play what I think is competitive, and I'm going to show up at events with it, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and compete. That's why I'm 0-3 drop Adam, because turns out my mouth gets me in a lot of trouble, and putting my money there isn't a smart idea. But you get what I'm saying, though? Like the database doesn't help you in that regard when it comes to actually competing at a competitive level. It just gives you lists to work off of.
Yep. And I feel like that's choices. I'm just gonna say it because I think like we've had him on last episode. Like I know you kind of like beat around the bush here, but Eminence is working on this new like decklist thing, and that's because they're trying to do more events. They're trying to make cEDH like a whole ass competitive format, like Legacy or like Modern, and I think that's would be really good for this format. In Trent, like cEDH still has the side where you have some players are over here. They're like, I want to play Dumb Timmy Dinosaurs, and I want to do this and that. And then you got other players over here like, I want to play the best possible deck there is, and I want to go and compete and win money. And yet there's rarely any opportunities, except maybe like once or twice every like 4 months, and there's no end game goal. And now as we transition to like a more end game goal, like a yearly goal that these competitive players can have, it starts to change the meta up and starts to develop cEDH, and maybe develop it into a format that a lot of players want it to be, and where it wants to be. And I just don't think the DDB is the right move for that. But I agree that the DDB is like a good resource for newer players, right? Just getting in, oh, what decks can I play? But like you said, Adam, like you've only been this like maybe like a year and a half, something like that. Mm-hmm. Like once you get into it, you go and ask like the people that go and compete, like, what's the best thing to play and what's your thought process on this? And then they'll give you explanation, yada, yada, yada. So.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, and like I said, I'd like to hear what our viewers have to say and what they think about it as well, because I'm interested to see like what the actual community feedback is, because like I see people kind of like in open discussion forums on Discord be like, hey guys, what's your opinions of the DDB, or like, you know, blah 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 blah, and it's usually like when you do that, you have like a bunch of people who might be like very well involved in the database or things like that like will either leave comments or are in there, so people will leave comments like, yep, good job, like I like it, you know what I mean, and not really tell people how they feel. So like, you know, you're on YouTube, people usually have different names in their Discord names or whatever. Put a comment down there and let us know what you think. Put some long written comments and we'll reply and like all of them, because you know, I'm really curious, and I actually want to have this discussion and see what our viewers think, because we make this type of content for you guys. So we want to hear if you guys share similar opinions to us, if you think we're too harsh on the database and things like that, because, you know, we'll listen and we'll adjust and we'll change things dependent on that.
And then if you're listening on Spotify, if you're not in the Discord already, you know, join it, but that's besides the point. But you can also like we're both like semi-active on Discord. If you add us, any one of our team members in our civil discussions will gladly sit there and talk with you about, you know, our opinions. You know, like we want to hear from you guys. Like Adam and I can just sit up here and just like shit post IRL about DDB stuff for like days. Okay. We've been going, we spent how long on like the 14 decks? We can go through the whole DDB and do that. That could be an episode, yeah. But that would not be entertaining, I think. I don't know.
Well, we could make it entertaining.
We could make it entertaining. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. Comments, and then Spotify, you people get in our Discord and debate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, if you join our Discord, let us know where you come from. Like whether you come from Spotify, Apple, YouTube, because like we get like channel analytics a lot, but like we interact mostly with people on Discord. So like I'd love to hear like where you came from and how we can interact with you more or better. So yeah. So I think we'll end it here, right? You happy with that? Okay. So once again, we'd like to thank all of our high tier patrons. Thank you to Doot, Usable Object, Senator Tom, Scorish, Unorthodox Bird, Jeff Bezos, Domino, Geos Justin, and our resident Chad Naus Just Ice. It's thanks to patrons like you that we get to keep doing this, keep having fun, keep buying new, you know, mics and new equipment, new cameras. Where even is the new camera? It's back there to record stuff. I'm bringing the new camera to Silicon Dynasty. We're going to be recording some video for that. I still have video from Oko that we have to edit and upload. So yeah, so we got tons of stuff, and it's thanks to all of you for supporting us that we're able to continue to do stuff and make better content. 2023, this is the first episode of 2023. We'd even say that.
Yo,
friggin'
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh my gosh. We have a lot planned for this year, like big things. Like I know that we always would say like, oh, you know, we have big things planned and da 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 da. No, we have like some of our biggest things planned. Like maybe, I don't know, some stuff with playing with power, or, you know, some other people, you know, some big people in the Magic world, not just the cEDH world. So stay tuned for that. But Kean already said it. If you haven't joined our Discord, get in there.
Yeah, all right, listen, Adam, I got this. All right, you've been saying that. All right, I yelled at you guys last episode. We got 2 new people in the fucking Discord. Okay, I'm tired of Adam over here saying just join this Discord. All right, I know it's just rinse and repeat. Join the Discord. We're serious here. We want to hear from you guys. We don't really look at any other social media besides like Discord. We want to hear from our fans. Okay, and like, just join the fucking Discord, bro. I'm tired of sitting here. Me and Adam both yelling at you guys to join the Discord. Okay, but you know it's all love in there. We got Hamster. We got Vroom. If you guys need to know the prophecy of Vroom, but in all honesty, like Discord's probably the best place. You know, we're very PG Discord in there. Yeah. We're local to the Milwaukee metro area. We have channels specifically that you can meet up with us if you guys are in the Wisconsin area for local games, tournament locations, and like other discussions. And if you guys are shopping for cards, I know we have some pretty big ballers in there that are trying to sell cards. So
yeah, we
don't know what else there's to say.
New buy sell trade forum.
Yeah.
Also, like, if you're from Milwaukee, I'm opening up a game store. So, like, if you want to get
February
be a part of
3rd,
that,
mark the
get
date.
involved that,
Big party
mark
there.
it. Don't mark the last date we told you because that one fell through. But
This one
yeah.
for sure.
And then whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else, make sure you leave a like, a review, subscribe, do whatever you can, support us in any way you can, and we'll just keep making content for all of you. Other than that, we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.